you keep your strength or lose it. That idea might sound dramatic at first, but when you look closely at how the body works after the age of 60, it starts to make real sense. As we grow older, the body naturally becomes less efficient at maintaining muscle, a process widely discussed in fields like gerontology and nutrition science. Muscle tissue is not just about strength or appearance, it plays a key role in balance, metabolism, and overall independence. According to institutions like the National Institutes of Health and Harvard Health Publishing, age-related muscle loss, often referred to as sarcopenia, tends to accelerate after 60 due to a combination of hormonal changes, reduced physical activity, and decreased protein utilization by the body. In simple terms, your body becomes less responsive to the same inputs that once kept it strong. Now, here's where the morning routine becomes more important than most people realize. When you wake up, your body is in a fasted state, meaning it has gone several hours without food. During this time, it may begin to break down stored energy, including muscle tissue, especially if it doesn't receive the right signals or early in the day. If the first thing you consume is only coffee, particularly without any supportive nutrients, your body may continue operating in a low-fuel mode. Research discussions from sources like the Mayo Clinic suggest that balanced morning nutrition helps regulate metabolism and energy levels, which indirectly supports muscle maintenance. This doesn't mean coffee is harmful. In fact, coffee itself contains compounds that can support alertness and even physical performance, but its impact depends heavily on context and what accompanies it. Many people unknowingly make a common mistake. They rely on habits that feel comfortable but don't serve their long-term health. For example, skipping breakfast, delaying meals, or consuming high sugar additives can create rapid spikes and drops in blood sugar. According to general guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, unstable blood sugar patterns can affect energy regulation and overall metabolic health. When energy levels crash, the body may respond by increasing stress-related signals, which over time can contribute to muscle breakdown rather than preservation. Think of your body like a construction site. If you don't deliver materials in time, the workers don't just pause. Sometimes they start dismantling existing structures to reuse those resources. Another key point supported by organizations like the World Health Organization is that aging does not mean the body stops adapting. Even after 60, the body remains responsive to nutrition, movement, and daily habits. This is important because it shifts the mindset from decline is inevitable to response is still possible. What you do consistently matters more than what you do occasionally. A single morning may not make a noticeable difference, but repeated patterns shape long-term outcomes. This is why small, consistent improvements like adjusting your morning routine can gradually influence how your body manages muscle over time. It's also worth noting that lifestyle factors don't work in isolation. Sleep quality, stress levels, and physical activity all interact with nutrition. For instance, poor sleep can affect hormones that regulate appetite and recovery, while chronic stress can influence how the body uses energy. Insights often highlighted by the National Health Service emphasize the importance of a holistic approach to healthy aging. In other words, your morning coffee is just one piece of a larger puzzle, but it's a powerful place to start because it's a daily habit that's already established. So when you hear the idea that your morning choice could influence your muscle health, it's not about fear, it's about awareness. It's about understanding that your body is constantly interpreting signals from your environment and your habits. Whether those signals encourage maintenance or breakdown depends on how they align with your body's needs at this stage of life. By becoming more intentional with even simple routines, you begin to shift those signals in a more supportive direction, which over time can make a meaningful difference in how you feel, move, and function. Think of your muscles like a savings account. When you're younger, deposits happen easily through everyday activity and normal eating patterns, but after 60, withdrawals begin to outpace deposits unless you become more intentional. This shift is not sudden, it's gradual and influenced by several biological changes that occur with aging. In fields like gerontology and exercise physiology, researchers explain that the body becomes less efficient at synthesizing muscle protein, a process sometimes described as anabolic resistance. This means that even if an older adult consumes the same amount of protein as they did in their 30s or 40s, the body may not use it as effectively to repair and build muscle tissue. According to the National Institutes of Health, this reduced sensitivity to protein is one of the key drivers behind age-related muscle decline, often referred to as sarcopenia. Hormonal changes also play a significant role in this process. As people age, levels of certain hormones that support muscle maintenance, such as growth hormone and testosterone, naturally decrease. This doesn't mean muscle loss is unavoidable, but it does mean the body requires stronger or more consistent signals to maintain the same level of muscle mass. Insights commonly discussed by Harvard Health Publishing highlight that reduced hormone levels combined with lower physical activity create an environment where muscle breakdown can exceed muscle building. In simple terms, the body becomes more conservative with energy and resources, prioritizing essential functions over maintaining muscle tissue that it perceives as less necessary if it's not being used regularly. Another major factor is physical inactivity, which tends to increase with age for many individuals. Retirement, lifestyle changes, or even minor mobility limitations can lead to fewer daily movements. According to general public health guidance from the World Health Organization, insufficient physical activity is one of the leading contributors to functional decline in older adults. Muscles operate on a use it or lose it principle. When they are not regularly challenged, the body begins to reduce their size and strength to conserve energy. Even small reductions in daily movement, such as less walking or fewer household tasks, can gradually signal the body that less muscle is needed. Nutrition patterns often shift as well, sometimes without people realizing the impact. Appetite may decrease, meal sizes may become smaller, or certain nutrients, especially protein, may be consumed less frequently. The Mayo Clinic often emphasizes that older adults may unintentionally eat less protein than their bodies require for maintenance. This creates a gap between what the body needs and what it receives. When that gap persists, the body may begin to break down existing muscle tissue to meet its needs, particularly during periods of fasting such as overnight sleep. This is why the timing and distribution of nutrients throughout the day can matter, not just the total amount. A common but overlooked habit is skipping breakfast or relying solely on beverages like coffee in the morning. While this may feel normal or convenient, it extends the overnight fasting period and delays the intake of nutrients that could help support muscle maintenance. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention provides general guidance on the importance of balanced eating patterns for maintaining energy and metabolic health. When the body remains in a low energy state for too long, it may increase reliance on internal reserves, including muscle protein, especially if other sources of energy are not available. However, it's important to understand that this process is not fixed or irreversible. Research summarized on platforms like PubMed shows that older adults can still respond positively to changes in diet and physical activity. The body retains the ability to adapt, even if the response is slower compared to younger years. This means that while the withdrawals from your muscle savings account may increase with age, you still have the ability to increase deposits through consistent habits. The key takeaway from all these references is that muscle loss after 60 is influenced by multiple interconnected factors: reduced protein efficiency, hormonal shifts, lower activity levels, and changes in eating patterns. None of these factors act alone. They combine to create a trend that, over time, leads to noticeable changes in strength and function. But because these factors are linked to daily habits, they also present opportunities for adjustment. By understanding how and why muscle loss occurs, individuals can make more informed choices that support their body's needs, rather than unintentionally accelerating the process through common but modifiable behaviors. Coffee itself is not inherently harmful and, in many cases, can be part of a balanced lifestyle, but its impact on the body, especially after the age of 60, depends heavily on how and when it is consumed. From a scientific perspective within nutrition science, coffee contains bioactive compounds like caffeine and antioxidants that can influence alertness, metabolism, and even physical performance. According to the Mayo Clinic, moderate coffee consumption is generally considered safe for most healthy adults and may offer certain benefits such as improved focus and temporary increases in energy. However, these effects are short-term and highly dependent on the overall nutritional context in which coffee is consumed. One of the most important factors is whether coffee is consumed alone or alongside other nutrients. When coffee is taken on an empty stomach, particularly in the morning after an overnight fast, the body is already in a state where it is looking for energy sources. In this situation, caffeine can stimulate the release of stress-related hormones, which may temporarily increase alertness, but can also signal the body to mobilize stored energy. Insights often discussed in Harvard Health Publishing suggest that while caffeine can enhance performance, relying on it without adequate nutrition may not support long-term metabolic balance. This is especially relevant for older adults, whose bodies may already be more sensitive to fluctuations in energy availability. Another layer to consider is how coffee is commonly consumed. Many individuals add sugar, flavored syrups, or processed creamers, which can significantly alter the metabolic response. These additions often lead to rapid increases in blood sugar, followed by a quick drop, a pattern that has been widely discussed in public health guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. When blood sugar rises quickly, the body releases insulin to bring it down, and this can sometimes result in a crash in energy levels. For older adults, repeated cycles of spikes and crashes may contribute to feelings of fatigue and instability in energy, which can indirectly influence physical activity levels and muscle maintenance. From a physiological standpoint studied in endocrinology, these fluctuations in blood sugar and stress hormones can create an internal environment that is less supportive of muscle preservation. When the body perceives stress or insufficient energy intake, it may shift toward conserving resources, which can include breaking down muscle tissue for fuel. While this process is part of normal metabolism, it becomes more significant when it happens repeatedly over time without adequate nutritional support. This is why the context of coffee consumption matters more than the beverage itself. Research summaries available through PubMed often highlight that caffeine can have both positive and negative effects depending on dosage, timing, and individual sensitivity. For example, caffeine may improve physical performance when paired with proper nutrition, but excessive reliance on it without balanced meals can lead to increased fatigue later in the day. This dual nature makes it important to view coffee not as a standalone solution for energy, but as one component of a broader dietary pattern. A common mistake many people make is treating coffee as a replacement for food rather than a complement to it. This is particularly noticeable in the morning when individuals may skip breakfast and depend entirely on coffee to kickstart their day. While this may feel effective in the short term, it does not provide the body with the nutrients needed to support muscle repair and maintenance. According to general recommendations from the National Health Service, balanced meals that include a mix of macronutrients help maintain steady energy levels and support overall health. Without this balance, the body may struggle to maintain stability, especially in older adults. It is also important to recognize that coffee can act as a delivery system, meaning it can be paired with other nutrients in a way that enhances its role in a healthy routine. For instance, consuming coffee alongside nutrient-rich foods can help moderate its effects on the body, reducing the likelihood of energy crashes and supporting a more stable metabolic response. This perspective shifts the focus from whether coffee is good or bad to how it is integrated into daily habits. Overall, the relationship between coffee and muscle health is indirect but meaningful. Coffee influences energy, alertness, and metabolic signals, all of which can affect how the body manages muscle tissue over time. By understanding the underlying mechanisms supported by insights from organizations like Mayo Clinic, Harvard Health, CDC, NIH, and research databases like PubMed, it becomes clear that small adjustments in how coffee is consumed can contribute to a more supportive internal environment. This is particularly important after 60, when the body relies more heavily on consistent, balanced inputs to maintain strength and function. When it comes to supporting muscle health after 60, small nutritional adjustments, especially in the morning, can play a meaningful role, and this is where the idea of smart additions becomes important. Instead of viewing coffee as a standalone habit, it helps to see it as part of a larger nutritional pattern that either supports or limits the body's ability to maintain muscle. In the field of nutrition science, one of the most widely discussed concepts is the importance of protein intake for muscle maintenance, particularly in older adults. According to the National Institutes of Health, adequate protein consumption is essential for muscle repair and preservation, but aging bodies often require more consistent distribution of protein throughout the day rather than large amounts at a single meal. This is because the body's ability to use protein efficiently decreases with age, a phenomenon often described as anabolic resistance. Adding a source of protein alongside your morning coffee can help shift the body from a state of breakdown to a state of support. After an overnight fast, the body is more likely to draw on internal energy reserves, which can include muscle tissue if no external nutrients are provided. By introducing protein early in the day, you provide the building blocks, amino acids, that the body uses to maintain and repair muscle. Insights frequently discussed by Harvard Health Publishing emphasize that spreading protein intake across meals may be more beneficial than consuming most of it later in the day. This approach helps maintain a more stable internal environment where muscle tissue is less likely to be broken down for energy. In addition to protein, healthy fats can also play a supportive role when paired with coffee. From the perspective of metabolism, fats provide a slower, more sustained source of energy compared to simple carbohydrates. This can help prevent the rapid spikes and drops in blood sugar that are often associated with sugary coffee additives. According to general dietary guidance from the Mayo Clinic, including balanced macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates supports more stable energy levels throughout the day. For older adults, this stability is particularly important because fluctuations in energy can influence physical activity, and lower activity levels are closely linked to muscle loss over time. A common mistake many people make is relying on highly processed creamers or sugar-laden flavorings to enhance their coffee. While these may improve taste, they often contribute to rapid increases in blood glucose followed by a quick decline. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention highlights that repeated blood sugar fluctuations can affect overall metabolic health, especially in older populations. When energy levels drop quickly after a spike, individuals may feel fatigued and less motivated to move, indirectly reducing the physical activity that helps preserve muscle. Over time, this pattern can create a cycle where both nutrition and movement work against muscle maintenance rather than supporting it. What to do instead is focus on pairing coffee with foods or additions that slow digestion and provide steady energy. This could include whole, minimally processed options that contribute nutrients rather than empty calories. From a physiological standpoint, this approach helps maintain a more balanced hormonal response, reducing the likelihood of stress-related signals that can promote muscle breakdown. Research summaries available through PubMed often indicate that balanced meals improve satiety, stabilize blood sugar, and support overall metabolic function, all of which are relevant to maintaining muscle mass as the body ages. Timing also plays a role in how effective these additions can be. Consuming supportive nutrients earlier in the day helps shorten the overnight fasting window and provides the body with resources when it is most receptive. According to the National Health Service, regular eating patterns contribute to stable energy levels and better overall health outcomes. For older adults, this consistency can be especially beneficial because the body responds more favorably to predictable routines. It's important to understand that these changes are not about complexity or strict rules, but about alignment with how the body functions over time. By making small adjustments, such as adding nutrient-dense components to your morning routine, you create a more supportive environment for muscle maintenance. These adjustments work best when they are part of a consistent daily pattern rather than occasional efforts. When combined with other lifestyle factors like movement and rest, they contribute to a broader strategy that supports strength and function without relying on extreme or unsustainable approaches. Your body does not respond to isolated actions. It responds to patterns repeated over time, and this becomes especially important after the age of 60 when maintaining muscle requires consistent signals rather than occasional effort. In areas like exercise, physiology, and gerontology, researchers emphasize that muscle tissue is highly adaptive, meaning it responds directly to how often and how effectively it is used. This is why movement plays such a central role in preserving strength. It does not require intense or extreme exercise. Rather, it requires regular, intentional use of muscles through daily activities. According to the World Health Organization, maintaining physical activity as you age is one of the most effective ways to support functional ability and independence. Even simple movements, walking, standing up frequently, carrying light objects, or engaging in resistance-based activities send signals to the body that muscle tissue is still needed. A common misunderstanding is that only structured workouts matter, but in reality, total daily movement is just as important. When long periods of sitting dominate the day, the body receives the opposite signal. It begins to assume that less muscle is required. This use it or lose it principle is well recognized in research discussed through National Institutes of Health, where reduced activity levels are consistently linked with declines in muscle mass and strength in older adults. The key is not perfection, but consistency. Short, repeated bouts of movement throughout the day can be more beneficial than a single session followed by prolonged inactivity. This is particularly relevant for individuals over 60, as recovery capacity may differ compared to younger years, making steady, moderate activity a more sustainable approach. Sleep is another critical but often overlooked component of muscle preservation. During sleep, the body carries out essential repair processes, including those related to muscle tissue. In the field of sleep medicine, it is well established that inadequate or poor quality sleep can disrupt hormonal balance, including hormones that influence recovery and tissue maintenance. Insights from the National Health Service highlight that adults who consistently get insufficient sleep may experience reduced physical performance and slower recovery. For older adults, this can contribute to a gradual decline in muscle strength if not addressed. Sleep is not simply rest, it is an active period where the body rebuilds and prepares for the next day. Stress also plays a significant role in how the body manages muscle. From the perspective of endocrinology, chronic stress can elevate levels of stress-related hormones which influence how the body uses energy. When stress remains high over long periods, the body may shift toward conserving energy and breaking down tissues, including muscle, to meet its needs. According to general health guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, managing stress is an important part of maintaining overall health, including physical function. This does not mean eliminating stress entirely, which is unrealistic, but rather finding ways to balance it through relaxation techniques, social interaction, or enjoyable daily activities. Nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress are not separate systems, they are interconnected. For example, poor sleep can increase stress levels, which in turn can reduce motivation to stay active or make balanced food choices. Similarly, regular movement can improve sleep quality and help regulate stress. This interconnected nature is often highlighted in holistic health approaches supported by organizations like Harvard Health Publishing, which emphasize that long-term health outcomes are shaped by combined lifestyle patterns rather than single interventions. One of the most common mistakes people make is focusing on only one area, such as diet, while neglecting the others. For instance, improving nutrition without addressing inactivity may limit the overall benefit, just as exercising without adequate rest may reduce recovery. What tends to work better is creating a simple, repeatable rhythm supporting the body with balanced nutrition early in the day, maintaining regular movement throughout daily activities, and allowing sufficient time for recovery through sleep. Research summaries available through PubMed often show that combined lifestyle interventions rather than isolated changes are more effective in supporting muscle health in older adults. Ultimately, preserving muscle after 60 is less about intensity and more about consistency across multiple areas of life. Each day provides an opportunity to send signals to the body about what is needed and what is not. When those signals consistently include movement, nourishment, rest, and balance, the body is more likely to maintain strength and function over time. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, muscle health after the age of 60 is not controlled by a single habit, a single food, or a single decision. It is shaped by the accumulation of daily signals your body receives over time. In disciplines like gerontology and preventive medicine, experts consistently emphasize that aging outcomes are influenced more by patterns than by isolated actions. This means your morning routine, your movement during the day, your eating patterns, your sleep quality, and even your stress levels all work together to either support or challenge your body's ability to maintain muscle. According to the World Health Organization, healthy aging is largely about maintaining functional ability, and muscle strength plays a central role in that function, affecting mobility, balance, and independence. Starting with the morning, your first actions of the day set the tone for your body's internal environment. After an overnight fast, your body is in a state where it is ready to respond to incoming nutrients. If that first input is balanced, meaning it includes supportive nutrients along with your coffee, it helps shift the body toward a more stable and nourished state. On the other hand, if the morning begins with only stimulants or highly processed additions, the body may remain in a less supported state for longer. Insights from Mayo Clinic highlight that balanced eating patterns contribute to steady energy levels and better metabolic regulation, both of which are important for maintaining muscle over time. This does not require complicated routines, but it does require awareness and consistency. As the day continues, carrying that initial momentum becomes important. Regular meals that include a mix of nutrients help maintain energy and provide the building blocks needed for tissue maintenance. At the same time, incorporating movement throughout the day reinforces the message that muscle tissue is still necessary. The National Institutes of Health has published extensive research showing that both nutrition and physical activity are key factors in preserving muscle mass in older adults. These factors are most effective when they are applied consistently rather than occasionally. Even moderate, repeated actions like walking, light resistance activities, or staying physically engaged can contribute to maintaining strength when practiced regularly. It is also important to avoid the common trap of seeking quick fixes or extreme changes. In the field of behavioral science, it is well understood that sustainable habits are far more effective than drastic, short-lived efforts. Many people are drawn to the idea of rapid transformation, but this often leads to inconsistency, which limits long-term benefits. According to guidance from the Harvard Health Publishing, gradual and consistent lifestyle improvements are more likely to produce lasting health outcomes. This is particularly relevant after 60, when the body responds better to steady, manageable changes rather than sudden, intense interventions. Another critical aspect is recognizing individual variability. Each person's health status, medical history, and lifestyle circumstances are different, which means that what works for one individual may not be appropriate for another. This is why general educational information should always be complemented by personalized guidance when needed. Organizations like the National Health Service and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention emphasize the importance of consulting qualified professionals, especially when making significant changes to diet or physical activity. This ensures that any adjustments are safe and aligned with individual needs. Research platforms such as PubMed provide a wide range of studies showing that combined lifestyle approaches integrating nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress management are more effective than focusing on a single factor. This reinforces the idea that muscle health is not determined by one decision, but by the overall direction of daily habits. Each small choice contributes to a larger pattern, and over time, that pattern influences how the body functions and adapts. Finally, it is important to approach these changes with a mindset of progress rather than perfection. Small, consistent improvements are more sustainable and more impactful than trying to achieve an ideal routine all at once. Before making any major dietary or lifestyle adjustments, especially if there are existing health conditions or concerns, it is advisable to consult a qualified healthcare professional. This ensures that changes are both safe and appropriate for your specific situation. By focusing on steady, realistic habits and understanding how your body responds to daily inputs, you create a foundation that supports strength